Okay, here we are. Let's open up what we were working so hard on yesterday. File, open recent, Smurfette rigged for Star Bloom. Don't save that. Okay, there she is. I think I left this on. I better check. Okay, so I'll pull this over. Oh, look. You'll notice over here it opened up to pose mode, and then over here is where I hid some of her bones. And let's go to and see data. Little running man for her bones, the green, two green ones. And then let's go over here and click on material preview. And now I'm going to zoom in with my scroll wheel and turn her like this. Now, if I click the camera, bing, see? And then I scroll the wheel because the lock's not on. She'll move with the camera. Look, this is I can't select it because I'm in pose mode. But if I go to object mode, I can click the, see it turned white, the yellow. That's me looking through the camera right there. And I think I set up the lights. So if she's in this mode, you can hit render right up here. Render image, or F12. And there, she's rendered, see? And she's in slot 3. And if you want to, before you render again, you don't render over the top of her. You click a new slot, and you have an automatic amount of slots when you start. 1, 2, she was in slot 3. And when you run out of slots, you click this arrow and a little drop down, you go to image, and there's slot 8. And if you want more, you click the plus. You get more slots. So just so you know, if you're on slot 3 and you have your image, now you can save image, save as, and you give it a name. You can say, my first render, or whatever, of Smurfy. Smurf. That's good. And then you hit save. But before I click save as, it'll close. You can come up here after you find your folder. You can search for your folder. If I expand that, and then you can come down here and search your folders and find a folder. I'm going to go to my G drive into my Terry's art, and then probably have a Smurf folder here. S. I can come up here and search S and hit enter, or Smurf. Well, there's a Smurf in here, all right. And of course there's a Smurf folder and a Smurfette. So I can save here and the Smurf folder. You go back. Smurfette Smurfs. So I'll just save it here. But before I save it, I found the folder. Now I can come to bookmarks, scroll down, and look, Smurfette, and hit the plus, and then it'll save it to Smurfette Smurfs. And then it'll be here. But I also have another Smurfette folder. Oh yeah, this is the one it came in. So it might save here, but I'll make a folder for it here. Click the plus on the folder and I'll put Smurfette renders or something, renders. And now I'll click this and I'll make a folder for this. Down here, hit the plus. Now I have 3 folders and I can see, because now I can click Smurfette renders and then hit save as. And there I have my render. And now I can minimize this and come back here, and I can see how when I click this, now I can see the camera in the view, and then see the square there. That's what we're looking through. When we click this, boom, there she is. Now if I want to click her and then click her armature, so I can go into pose mode, and it looks like I left it in. This is the dope sheet, and this is the non-linear animation. We use these together. The timeline, the dope sheet, these all kind of work together. But come down here to the dope sheet, and I'm going to drag open one more. I'm going to pull one up like this from the corner, and it turns to a crosshair bar. I can drag one up. And it's another dope sheet, but I'm going to switch it. Or I'm actually going to leave the dope sheet open and change the top one to timeline, and the middle one, there's the timeline. Wait, timeline. Oh, there's the timeline. And the middle one, dope sheet, and I'll just make the last one back to nonlinear. These kind of all work together. So they do different things, but they work together. It's kind of funny. So in the timeline, I'll come up here and, oh, she's got a little bit of a squishy jump. I'll turn view, and then it says only show selected, but I have to select, or I have to go out to object mode and select her skin, her mesh, to see her, I think. But here we have, well, we did have the mesh, and here we have the bones. So I don't have any, or do I? Oh yes, I pressed them down, that's right. I have some of her bones animated, but they're here, see? And I can turn them off, pull these up. And if I don't want to see these to play, I can turn them off. Squish down, and then the armature mesh right here, pull that out. And these are off, so are they all off? So now she's won't play, but her mouth is animating on another right here, actually. These keys are her mouth, I think. Yeah. Smurfette mesh. Okay, so I want to pose her. Yeah, the key Smurfette mesh. So if we want to look at what this is, we click her mesh. We're in object mode, and I believe this is her mouth. Key value. And we go to selector mesh, object edit mode, and then down here you can see the relative. It kind of works, and then go to object and then see her mouth moving. And if we add, come down here, and we're right here in data, and we're in object mode, and we're selecting her mesh, and then we move her mouth closed. We can hit this little animate property diamond at the right of value. And now we'll go all the way down, and her mouth is closed. And that's the key. We just need to name it, the value. And see, if I click this off, her mouth won't play. So I turn it back on. So we can change that name, that key right there. Name, I think. See, it says 101, and it says 101 here, and it's a key shape. That's what this is on her mouth, a key shape. So we can change this 101 to mouth. Just change it, double click on it. Mouth, move, just so we know. See, I think it, yeah, there it changes right here. So we know these keys belong here. We can select the key on mouth move. Turn that off. Now it's not moving. Turn it back on. And move the keyframe down. Yeah, smile. So we see the keys when she's on the mesh. And then let's see, when we select the armature, I don't see, she's not moving because we don't have any keyframes on her. We've pushed them down, which I'll show you how to do. Down here, you push them down. You collapse them and they get saved here. So if these are on, then we'll see them. Yay! I'm still working this out, so I'll push her down here so she's up. And then I'll show you how you can render her again. So this is the linear, non-linear animation. So I'll show you a class that you can take because I'm still learning this. But I turn her animation on. I'll just move it down because we can just keep going down here like this. And so we'll move the keyframes down so you can see. And then we'll select her armature. And then let's go to pose mode. And now let's select, notice when I select her in pose mode, her neck, I want to be able to see that I'm on there. So I'm going to come over here to the rotate tool. And now I can see the Oh, this is her mouth. This is interesting. So we can also use this bone to move her mouth. Whoops. Edit, undo, edit, undo. And then I can turn her so you can see that this bone, if I select the the X, the X, we're rotating on the X. And we can come up here to the right and click this little tiny arrow. And then we can see she's moving the rotation right here. It's all moving, but we can see that the red is the X. And sometimes with animation we change it. We change one of these. I forget which one it is. But it'll make it smooth. We'll learn about that. But okay, so let's just turn her like this. And let's grab her, not her mouth, I can't see her neck, her head. Look, this says, I think, head 01, and we can click over here on the bone and see that it's the head 01 and the name. There we go. And we can rotate her head like this, and then maybe like just like that. And then we can change that's cute. I'm selecting that bone and I can change the color of her head bone right here, over here in this viewport display. And then bone color, and I can choose red like that. That will help me find it a little easier. And then if we want other bones like selected in that same color, like what we do is we select that bone after we change the color. Well, you can just change any color. You can just select a bone and come here and pick one of these colors and it'll change. And but what I was saying was, if you want other bones colored that same color, you select that bone and then you shift select other bones, and then you click the color. It didn't work. Okay. Select that, and then shift select these, and then orange. It's not working. I forget how to do it. And then you just shift select them and then hit the color. There we go. Anyways, I forget how it is exactly, but you can look it up in your AI. And then you have this cool option to change the colors. And sometimes it helps to find the bone a little easier. Okay, so now let's click on the camera because we posed her. And we can pose her here too. We can click her arm and just move it up and move it forward. Click a bone and rotate her hand or whatever. And now we can hit, I forgot to select the bone and then hit the eye. So hold the mouse over this and then hit I. And now we have this keyframe and it's her This is her skin, and it's her mouth, these ones. And then this is now her arm, I think, yeah. Her forearm, right forearm one. And we have a keyframe on, we have one on all of these. Well, we have X, Y, and we can actually just delete this keyframe on her arm. That was the arm. And we can come up here to edit preferences and just make it rotate. And then hit this save preferences. Minimize that. Now, if we rotate it like this, we can hit I, and it will basically insert a keyframe, her upper arm, for just these rotation. And we don't have quite as many since we're only going to be rotating it. And then I'll drag the scrub bar, and I'll move it somewhere like, gonna go through her hair. Just move it down. And then hold the cursor over and hit I. So now we can see, this is the summary line. And then here we have her arm moving. Scroll it down. Ooh, like that. It's not a ton, but it's cute. And it's to show you that we can see the rotation over here on her arm. And then we can select her arm like that. Hi. And then I don't think I put a keyframe for her head, so I'll select her red head bone there. It says head 101 right there. Can you see it? It's running into her face. 101. And then it says 101 here. And then, of course, you can hold your cursor and hit the period key, and it will show you that she's on this head bone with tons more under it. Okay, so, did I hit the head? Oh, I didn't. Let's see, this is the arm. So I'll close that. And then there's no key yet, so I'll hold my cursor over and hit I. And now there's her head right here. And it just did these ones, rotation ones. And I also put the head key. I'll move it down so we can see it. See, I clicked it and drug it down. Just so you can see where they're at. And the other way is, okay, I'll drag it down and we'll turn her head. I just brought the scrub down and now we turn her head like this. And like this, maybe. And then hold the cursor over and hit I. So now we have these head keys. And then these keys above it tell us that these are on the Smurfette mesh and that she's parented under the armature. See, there's the armature icon. So now we see her head. And we have these keyframes like so. Ta-da. And then we can move the end key, click on it and say 30, what's our frame number there? 30, 25? Our last one, so I can make it 25, like that. Type it in, hit enter, and now it'll play from 0, start to end. I think automatically, yeah. Okay, so now we can scrub the timeline, put her here, and then she's on the camera mode. She's in the camera. Click the camera, and now I can hit render. But if I want to view to see what's there to make sure I don't render, I hit view render. Oh, and it is on there. So I want to switch the slot. I'll just put her back on 1. And now I'll hit render, render image. And it took a second. And then we have a new render. So now we have the renders here, 1 and 3. And we can image if we'd like it, save as, and then we already named this first one in this folder, my first render Smurf. And there it is, and we can just hit the plus from the red. It'll turn to black and automatically give it a number. And now we can save it. And then we can minimize this. And then we could scroll her back out, but she's gonna stay like this in the frame of the camera when we scroll back. See, if we zoom, I'm zooming with the plus. And then when we turn her, she comes out, but see, there's the camera. If we render her like this, render view, let's switch this to a new slot. 2 is open, let's minimize. And now I hit render. Now she's just gonna render like we had her posed in the camera, see? So if we want her, say we want to pose her like this, she's going to render out where we have the camera. So if I scroll down here and I click, I can't move the camera in pose mode. So object mode, now select the camera, get on the move tool or G for grab, and I move the camera up here. Now if I hit render image, there's nothing up there because we just moved it. So we can minimize this. I'll show you. Bring it down to our hat and then hit render. There's the tip of her hat. So we want to move it maybe back down where it was, and then we can hit the camera icon, and now she's back in the camera. And now we can select the camera here, and we can select the camera and we can hit the G key and grab it, and we can move the camera like this with the G key by scrolling around like there. And then I can scroll her in like this, and then we can hit render. And there she's rendering. So now, if I want her to move, and I want to move her and I don't want to get off the camera, because I can move her here or the camera around, but I can't and I can move it inside the scene like that. Or if I want, I can go like rotate around, and I can hold my cursor like this, and I can hit Control-Alt-0. And you see what it did? It framed the camera. It automatically framed the camera for me. So I hit Render Image, and there she is, like that. And we'll just make a new slot, just so you remember. And then I can zoom in, but she's kind of stuck there like that. So I can hit the lock key. Enable view navigation within the camera view. So if I turn the lock on, now I can zoom in, and I can rotate. I can select her and rotate around like this. And then I can zoom in or something like that. And then turn the lock back off and hit render. So I set the lights up in there so they're pretty good. And that's another challenge, is setting up cameras. So to play with the camera is something good, because you can move the camera in so many ways. So you select it here. You can hit grab the G key and kind of move it like this. And you're moving her, I think the scene there in front of the camera like that. Now if I select her and I rotate it, you'll be moving in the 3D scene. Yes, and then if I select the camera over here and I hit rotate, see, I'm still just stuck to the camera. It's interesting. But notice the when I rotate it, the scene will move with her in the center. If I select the camera, I rotate, see, it'll move with the camera. And then if I click the camera, I can select this. So this is fun. And then you hit the G key, grab, and then you can move the camera, the lens of the camera around her, and you can lock it, select her after, because then it'll move around her. So there's a whole bunch to learn about the camera. And it's so cool because guess what? We can animate the camera. Is that amazing or what? So if I want to animate the camera, I can select the camera lens, and I'll turn the lock off just so you can see she's there, and I'll give myself some extra frames to move on and just scroll down on the end. And I'll move this down to 30. And then I'm selected the camera in the view. You can come up here and see if it's selected in your outliner. Yeah, it's selected right there. And you can always hit the numpad, period. Select the camera here, and then the numpad to find it if it's hidden. And now the camera's selected. This is her head, bone, her upper arm. This is her mouth on a key shape. And now I'll hold my cursor over the viewport and hit I. And I just put a keyframe on the camera. See, there's the camera right here. We can drag this around. And now I can move the scrub bar down, and I can, the camera selected, hit G and move the camera like this or whatever. And then hold my cursor over this view and hit I. But notice it didn't move, and that's because up here we turned off camera action object. We didn't rotate the camera. We positioned it. So come up to render and, or edit, edit, preferences, and we can click location on, and it turned rotation off. So click location, shift click. Now their keyframes are right like that. And we can hit save preferences. And we can close that. So now I'll just delete this key, and I'll delete that key. Now the camera's gone. And then also make sure that you've got only show selected off so we can see all the keys, or just turn it on. And now we won't see anything because we're on the camera. So I'll come down here to 25, and the camera's selected, and I'll hit I, holding my cursor over, and I have a keyframe there. And now I'll scrub down to, I don't know, 35 frame, okay, 30. And then I'll hold my cursor over here with the camera selected and hit the grab key, and then I'll move this way. And then I'll turn the lock on. I'll select her just to rotate her a bit like this. Then I'll reselect the camera. So I'm keyframing the camera, and I'll hold my cursor over, hit I. And now the camera's animating. See? And if we click the camera and pop out and zoom out, we can see the camera is moving. And her head's also moving because we animated that. And we don't see the keys because we turned view, only show selected. So now I turn it back off, and we can see the rest of her animating. Like so. And I'll click Y to straighten her up, and I'll zoom out. And there we go. And so she's going to be animating when we render her on the timeline here. And I'll go to 30, the last keyframe, and I'll click this bar here and move these down so we can see keyframes. And then I'll click camera. And now she's way over there, but you get the whole idea. And so we can render her out now, just like we did her image, but we'll render the animation. So we come up here to, and maybe we should move her a little bit. What do you think? No, we'll just leave it like that for now. And then I'll come up here, render, and this time instead of rendering image, we render the animation. Click render animation. And it's going to start rendering her out. Okay, so now she's finished rendering. I let her render, and now I'll minimize this. And you can see too, there'll be a bar that played. I missed catching that, and then when it stops, you'll know it's done rendering. And then you can go render, render, view, render. And I don't know what's happening. Let me see. So it should have rendered out like so. And render. Oh, view animation. Sorry. That's what I meant to say. View, render, view animation. There we go. And then I can pull this down. It's kind of fast. Okay, so we rendered that out, and that is a terrible render, but we did it. And I can just close that because you can just go back and click view render again. It'll be in your, I'll show you how to save and where to save, but for now. So it's kind of, but let me show you how to slow it down. You can come down here to your keyframes, click and drag your mouse, and it will select them all. And now a quick way of making them faster is now hit the S to scale. S, and then scale them out like this. And then scroll to zoom in or move your mouse. And you can also hit view, frame all, or home, and it'll frame your keyframes because we stretched them way out. And if you, so yeah, they're selected. And then you can just type, kind of look and see where your mouse is to 258. And then click end frame and click 258. And now it should render a little bit slower. We pull it back and we hit play. Now it'll render slow. We'll get down to the camera here. Come on, hurry up. Oh, hello. So that's how you would make it render out slower. And that's important. And then the other thing is if you want to move your this thing, scrub bar out to do this quicker, this end frame, notice you click on it, or you can hit the control or command end. Yeah, command, move the scroll bar and then hit control end, and it'll stop right there, which is nice. Or you can just type it in, or you can scroll, click, you have to click down and drag, and then that's nice on the keyframes. And I'm scrolling in on this, but again, you can click these and hit, I believe, what is it, view, home again, or yeah, home, or just home, and that will frame them. And you also have this bar down here to move this way, so you can click and play with your bars to your heart's content. And now I'm going to show you something very important. Just one more thing. And I'm going to click here and scroll this way because this is going to be important. So come down here to your properties. This, are we on the camera? We're not on the camera. I'm going to select the camera for now. There, we're on the camera. Just to show you that down here in properties, you have a whole bunch of camera properties that you can learn and play with. But what we're going to do is we're going to come out up here to output. And this is where we set, I'm going to minimize format and frame range and all those things. Come to output. So here is where you're going to be setting up where your rendered animation gets saved. Because remember we rendered out the image and the render image, and also if you want to find that rendered image, you just go render view, render, F11, right there, and it'll be there, and you have to save it here. Now it's different with the video, with the rendering the animation. So you have to come over here, excuse me, and click on output. And then in output, see where it says temp? It's sending the file to a temp. And we can look at it by clicking the folder. It'll open. Let's see what it rendered out. Oh, there it is. There's the ping, the temp ping, and then the video file rendered here somewhere. It's here somewhere. All these probably. Yeah, it rendered in little pictures, spread them out. So it rendered out our animation in a bunch of images because that's what's set here. So you want to you want to find the place. Let's go down here where we saved it. Your folder. We don't want it on the C. We want to put it right here in Smurf renders. We made this folder. And I'll hit accept. And now see the output is here. And then let's save our image file, save. You can hit save as so you see where it's at. And I'll save an incremental so that file save incremental. Because if I save it, I'll save it over to the other top of it. So I can just come here and hit plus, file save as plus, or I can hit file save incremental like that. Okay, now with this there, my animations are going to render out to this folder, but I don't want it to render out as a bunch of pictures. I might not, so I have to change it here. So if I want it to render out as a video file, like an MP4, then I click that video. And then I come down here to encoding, I think. And I can change this. I don't know that file, that Matroska, but I come to encoding and I will change it to an MPEG-4. And then there's an AVI and there's a couple others, but that's what I will put it to. And now when it renders out, it will be a movie file, and I will show you We'll just render out a tiny bit. We'll just render this part to this part. And I'll actually move this down just to show you real quick. So also it's going to give it that name right there that we gave it, Smurfette Renders. So I think it might auto put a new name on it. We'll find out. So I will now hit render, animation, and we'll give this a second to render. And I came back, I minimized it, and see it's rendering. Now you're gonna have to be really careful on your Mac Neo when you're doing this rendering, because it uses up a lot of your GPU and CPU. So you can do little animations like this. And then you'll see it's rendering. You have to wait for it to render. And then if you want to come back with the shortcut, you can either go back and hit View Render, or you can hit the shortcut F11. So I'll just click off that and click F11 so I can see what's happening. And it's rendering, and you can kind of zoom in here. You can use your hand, or you can hit the 1 key. If it's zoomed out and you want to see it 100%, hit the 1 key on your keyboard. But there it goes, it's rendering. Yay! Oh, I just realized something. Oh wait, there she goes. I think I rendered more than I planned. I forgot to change the front key. But it's done, I think. I can minimize. And yeah, the render's done. So, but it did render the whole thing because I forgot to change my start. I was just going to render these few couple frames. But I forgot to change the start key to 247. So you can do that. You'll be like, I think it's also shows, but we can see now, we can hit render, view animation, and I can drag this out and see the animation, but it's slow now. Wait, animation player. It's not doing anything. I don't know why, what I've done, but probably because I made it so slow. Yeah, it's not doing much. It's taking a while. But we can look over here in our folder, to see if it's there. And yes, there it is. It's our MP4. And it did automatically give it a name. And it will again, I believe, if we did another render. And we will do another render, because this is really bad. So I'll just move this keyframe a little bit like this back. This is the camera one. This is so retarded. And then I will change my frame start to 192. 192. Now it should render these frames. And I think, yeah, frame range right here above the output, 192 to 258. And I'm going to re-render this So again, we can look here, we can see, oh, there's the other one and our two still renders. And we can hit render animation again and wait for this. Wait for it, it's rendering. And I can minimize it and then look, see here, down here in the bottom of the screen, you can see it's rendering and you'll know when it's done. And you can't really just jump, even if it's taking a while for render, you can't really use your PC during a render. Your computer, you have to get on your tablet or your phone and wait for that to finish because your Blender is using up your CPU and all of your power in your computer, so do small renders. And I guess that's finished now. And let's look at the folder here and see. I don't see it yet. Let's see. Let's go render, view, animation. Yeah, there it is. Better, much better. Better, better, better. And then we can just close that. And then let's hit this. Oh, there we go. There it is down there. I mean, right here. So 258, this is the one, and it automatically gave it a new name. So you can rename it right here by right clicking, I believe. It might, yeah, there's my rename on Windows. Yours might be different. So yay, is that awesome? And look, we automatically jumped to, I might have hit a keyboard shortcut, but it might have done this to save CPU, automatically jumped to solid mode. So now we have learned about rendering. We have learned about rendering in animation, and that's going to be an MP4 because we changed it. Changed the video encoding right here. And then an MP4 can be loaded to Facebook and a lot of places. And Facebook, YouTube. So now you've learned about rendering. Isn't that exciting? So we're going to learn more in the next video and play with the camera and learn how to render. And yeah, lighting, it's a lot of render. You can spend a long time on rendering, but I think it's easier when you have a rigged character to jump into animation and rigging. You can move this out here and 294, and then we can move Smurfette around. Now she's going to jump back, watch, see, because she's keyframed. So just keep that in mind. You can also turn on auto keyframe. So with if we're going to animate the camera, ding, see, we can turn the camera with the lock on. And now we're on her. So I don't know if the camera will keyframe that. Let's see. Let's turn her again this way. Yeah. So the camera's still, is that the camera that? Yeah, that's the camera. The camera. you can tell by opening these. And also we can turn this back on. Show only selected. So we've got the camera locked, so we can move her down like this. Wait a second. That was Smurfy. And wait. No, that wasn't. That was the camera. So as soon as I click off of her, she got on Smurfy. But it still moved her. Let's see. Click the camera and then move it. Yeah, this is... This is still doing the camera. Because she's locked on it, I think. See? And the auto keyframe is on, but I get so confused. I can't wait for you to help me do all this. Everyone is helping me. Daniel, God. And then, yes, it's still the camera because we selected, and I believe that even if I deselect it and I stop her playing, see, it's because, let's see, and I come down here all the way to the end, and then I, with this on, let's see. No, it didn't frame anything, key anything. I have to select it. Or no, it did, because see, look. Put it way here. And then with nothing selected, and then I select it. Look, see, it is. It's probably because the key, the camera was locked. And that was the last object I was on, because it doesn't show selected. So it's tricky. And then click back on it, and we can see we are keyframing the camera. It was the last object. So now, if we want, we can move these things around. And then play, hit play, and then ta-da! She's animating in the camera. And it's the camera that we have animated, and I'm so proud of us. Okay, so pause that, and now let's take the lock off, and let's move out here and see our camera. And let's remember, if you want to quickly move around your scene and reposition the camera, you can get far and fast with this whole camera thing. You can hold your mouse here, Control, Alt, 0, and it's going to position your camera like that. And you can turn the lock on and off and turn her. But you got to select her with the lock on, and then spin her around with this rotation tool and zoom in. Let's get it close up. And then you're going to find out really soon that if we, there's the camera, let's see, if we render an image, let's see if she's going to render an image. Yay! She did, and then you can image save as if you want. And save images out. And if you want to do more animations, you can. And so you can play with animating the camera. And then that will be a lot of fun. Yay! And then you can open up your folders and take your classes on this. And then you can also click this off, and notice it's going to be the camera, Smurfette, and then the mesh. These animations on the mesh, I selected our mesh, and you can turn this on in overlays, wireframe, and turn this up so you can see her mesh. And this is the key. These are shape keys. This is how we animate the skin or the mesh along with the bones. And then, of course, you can jump on the armature bones, get into pose mode, and select this. We have the auto keyframe on, so let's come out here, and we can move her arm. It's gonna auto keyframe, but it's gonna stay right there, see, because we have to put a start frame on where we're at up here. So maybe here, if you're on 0, and that is right through her hair, but that's okay, it's a cartoon. And then we can click her hand, move her hand up. There we go. Ta-da! So now we can animate her bones in pose mode. And then you can take the key. You can search any of these in your class. The class I got you, you can search words like armature or dope sheet, and you can ask Alex too on Blender Mania. And if you search keywords at Udemy, I'll show you where to do that. And you can search the linear. You can learn more there. And so under Smurfette, there's her arm. And I think if I hit A or just select all, we can see her arm, her head, and her shoulder, and her forearm have a keyframe. Just a few things. And you're so good at reading, you'll understand all this way better than me. I can barely see that. Okay, this is awesome. We're getting far. I know this is long, but we're learning together. And we can remember to hit File, Save, or Control S to save out. And we are having so much fun animating, and we can hit the space bar to start the play. It's here where you hit this, but you can hold your mouse over and just hit your space bar to start and stop your animation. And you can always do like me, and you can get your capture tool if you don't feel like rendering and you're in a hurry. And I'm going to get my snip tool, and I'm just going to animate this. And I'll hit start, and then I'll hit my, no, I still have to select to initiate Blender, and then I'll hit that. And now you can see her all here, and I can only do 20 seconds, or it would be too big to post on Discord. So, Starbloom and Starfluke animating. Starbloom and Starfluke games. Woohoo! See you later.